Hello, and welcome to the Rough Edges podcast with Sarah I. Fox. In this podcast, I will guide you through my faith and mental health journey to dispel the stigma surrounding mental illness and to create an empowering resource for those who wish to discover more about these topics. I pray that this podcast will not only bless you, but that it will bring growth and healing to our communities. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Rough Edges. This episode is very special to me, not just because of my guest, but because this is a part of Podcasthon, which is an incredible and fast-growing nonprofit initiative that unites over 1,000 podcasters globally. And there's no money involved. It's all about raising awareness for various charitable causes. And I am so happy to introduce my guest for today. She is a returning guest, you guys. She and I did an episode all the way back in season 1, all about affirmations. And my guest today is Brianna Miller. Brianna Miller is a 27-year-old woman who loves God, born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. From the age of 10 up until 21, she struggled with body image insecurity. Through her personal journey, she has learned what it means to love and value herself. She has learned how to be confident and what is needed to successfully overcome insecurity. From her experience, Brianna is able to implement what she has learned throughout her journey of overcoming insecurity to help young girls and women successfully overcome their own insecurities and operate in their God-given purpose. Brianna has a passion in seeing girls and women go from bound, insecure, and stuck to free, secure, and confident and bold. Welcome, Brianna.
Thank you so much for having me again. I'm super, super excited for today.
Yes, and I am so happy to have you. And just a little quick anecdote about how we met. Like we connected on Instagram because I was just so drawn to your mission and the work that you do in terms of I Affirm Me. And I have to say that it has changed my life as well. And I'm just so happy to have connected with you.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad that we have connected as well and that this is growing into like a sisterhood also. Like, even though you found us through Instagram, like we have connected, we have supported each other throughout the years. And I think that's amazing that we can continue to support each other and just grow and watch what each of us is doing and be happy for one another. So I really love that.
Absolutely. And to start off, can you share 3 things that keep you motivated on a daily basis and why?
Yes. So the three things that keep me motivated on a daily basis, the first one, I definitely have to say God, because He is the reason for why I live. He is the reason why I keep on pushing. And just knowing that not only for I affirm me that He has called me to do this, but everywhere that He's placed me and put me in, that gives me motivation because it shows me that He sees that I can do it. So that is the top thing that motivates me is God. The second thing that motivates me is my family, my husband, just being able to create a life for them where in the future, praying and hoping that this will lead to stability and like passive income when we do have children. For them, for me, I think that's my motivator because being able for my children to see that okay, mommy can do it. Like it's not just limited to a 9 to 5 or whatever the world may try to tell them, but they can go beyond outside the box of what society may tell them. That's really a big motivator for me as well. And then the third motivator for me is really the girls and the women that I touch, that I encounter, that I impact, knowing that this is not just about me, that the things that I'm going through, it's not just for me, but it's for every girl, every woman who has once in their life felt insecure, stuck, hopeless, lonely, whatever it may be that is keeping them bound. just to know that there are girls out there that are looking for freedom, that are hoping, and that I can be that answer and lead them towards Jesus, that's another motivator for me as well.
Yes. Ooh, I love all of those motivators, especially going into why you wanted to create I Affirm Me. And you kind of answered it in that statement, but can you tell me a little bit more about what I Affirm Me is and how did you come up with the name also?
Yes, so I Affirm Me is a woman and girl empowerment brand ministry where we help girls and women to tackle their insecurities so that they can become all that God has called them to be. And it really started because I was a girl, as you mentioned in my bio, I struggled with insecurity for a very long time in my life. At that time, when I was 10 years old, I didn't know what insecurity was. It was foreign to me. I didn't even know the name to put to it, but I struggled for so long. And it wasn't really until I gave my life to Jesus that he started to show me my worth and my value and show me that I don't have to be insecure. And then God revealed to me that there are girls, there are women that are also battling with insecurity as well. And in order for them to not go through it as long as I did, then I have to help them and teach them. So that's really how that started, how it was birthed. And the name really, so we started as I am, but the acronym is I Affirm Me. And affirmations is something that I really had to teach myself as well. I struggled a lot mentally. I struggled with negative self-talk for a very long time. So I really had to learn how to speak life over myself, how to encourage myself using positive and uplifting words. So that's really where I Affirm Me comes from because we have to affirm ourselves in order to grow, in order to heal, and do all the things that God is calling us to do.
Yes, absolutely. And I agree with you about the notion of affirmations. And that's something that, again, it drew me to you in terms of like wanting to connect because I've also been struggling with insecurities and just the idea of having not only tools to be able to help you with affirmations, but also a sisterhood community like that was something that was really amazing with what you're doing.
Right. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. So I know that faith is a major component of I Affirm Me. So what role does faith actually play in the work that you do, and why is that significant?
So I love that question. Faith plays a major role. Like without faith, you really can't do anything because when, for example, when it comes to speaking affirmations, you are speaking things over yourself that you may not see. So by you speaking it, you have to have the faith that, okay, this is what God's word says. I'm applying it to myself and I have to believe that it's true or else you're not going to be able to take it on and really hone into the fact that this is what God's word says about me. So faith is really important. You have to have the faith that God is going to heal you. You have to have the faith that the enemy is not going to overtake you. You have to have the faith that the things that I'm saying and are working towards are going to come to pass. So without faith, it's going to be very hard to heal. It's going to be very hard to overcome. So I always encourage my sisters to trust God. Throughout this entire process, you cannot do it without God. I could not have done it without God. So I always encourage my sisters, like you as well cannot do it without God because He's the one that's going to bring you through. And there's going to be a lot of times on this insecurity journey where you're not going to feel like you're going to heal. You're not going to want to push through. But when you're leaning on God and when you're trusting on Him, then it makes it a little easier and it makes it a little more worth it because you're reaching towards something, you're pushing towards something. So faith is a very huge component in this affirmation and insecurity journey.
I absolutely agree with you. And I think it's something about faith that also gives us hope to be able to speak these affirmations over ourselves. I know, like, we're living in a world and a society that's all about, oh, what is my best interest? And, doing things that are so self-centered, but when you add that faith element into it, and that's why I love talking about faith and mental health, because it really sheds a light on the amount of hope that you can have while you're doing things like affirmations or even just like your own healing journey.
Right, absolutely. And faith, like you were saying, faith takes us out of the equation because there are so many things that are happening in the world that we can look to, but the Bible tells us to walk by faith and not by sight.
Yes.
We can look at everything that's happening in the world and be like, no, this verse is crazy. How am I going to walk by faith and not by sight when so many terrible things are happening? But when you're walking by faith, that means that you don't have to accept the negative things that are happening. You don't have to accept the negative ways that you are feeling. You're just operating in that faith and trusting that what you see is not your end circumstance.
Yes, absolutely. And also, even in talking about affirmations, like you mentioned this earlier, but you do have to have some level of faith when you're speaking these things over yourself. And people call it manifestation, but I think it's more of like speaking the truth of God's word over yourself, over your current circumstance. And that takes a certain level of faith. So I also wanted to ask, in your journey with overcoming insecurities, how has your faith helped you?
Absolutely. If I'm not working through an insecurity, just having faith in general, it's a hard thing because we live in a very microwavable time where things happen very quickly. And my pastor, my apostles always talk about this. We live in a time where things happen quickly. But when it comes to God, when it comes to trusting Him, it's not on our timing. God is out of time. So we really have to have faith that things are going to work out. When dealing through my insecurity, there are times when I may have thought that I was healed, but then something comes up that triggers me. Then it's like, okay, did I really not heal or did I really not believe that I wasn't healed? But no, you just have to have the faith that the work that you put in wasn't in vain. There are still going to be things that may come up that trigger you, but then you have the tools now, you have the strategy, you have the understanding of your insecurity to show you that, okay, I know how to handle this. I've practiced this, I've worked through it. And now I can couple that with my faith, the one that I believe in, and know that I don't have to stay in this insecurity.
Yes, and you said something very important, which leads into my next question about tools and also like coupling the faith with that. So it's not just like one or the other, or they're not mutually exclusive. You have faith and you also have tools to help you be able to overcome. And so, speaking of like tools, because I know you do with I Affirm Me, you do a lot of like events and different tools and sessions. So, can you talk about the programs that you offer through I Affirm Me and how are they helpful?
Yes. So we have our workshop, which is our affirmation writing workshop. This workshop teaches the girls and the women that attend how to effectively counteract the lies of the enemy and how to really form affirmations. So we know that the world may speak affirmations, but then there's a difference when it's godly affirmations. And the way that we create that is strictly from the word of God, the scriptures that we see. So we really teach our sisters how to pair the word with what we want to believe and put those together to make it God's truth about us and speak that over ourselves. So our affirmation writing workshop really helps with building confidence. It helps with tearing down the lies of the enemy over our lives. And it really just molds us and pushes us to become the woman that God is calling us to be. So that's our affirmation writing workshop. We also have our Insecurity Tackle Program. This is one of my favorite programs because we really go step by step and dissect each part of our insecurities, like the root of it, where it came from, where it started. What are your triggers? Why are you triggered? What are the things that can trigger you? So we really do a deep dive to help the girls understand that, okay, this is my insecurity, but then now I have to understand how to break it down to a way where I understand how to overcome it I can understand that these are my triggers. I can easily identify it and now be able to move forward. So that's the Insecurity Tackle Program. And then the last thing that we have is our affirmation writing workbook. So this workbook is your personal workbook. It's very hands-on. We have steps for action, strategies, blueprints on how you can create effective affirmations. We help you to see the negative thoughts that you have, the negative things that you see, that you say to yourself, and then also how to create affirmations that speak against those things. So those are some of the resources that we do have.
Awesome. That's amazing. And I've actually been to both the Affirmation Writing Workshop and the Overcoming Insecurities Workshop. And I have to say that I really enjoyed both of those, especially the Affirmation Writing Workshop, because that really opened my eyes to many of the things that I didn't even know were actual insecurities that I had. And just even seeing like the amount of women that were there and just hearing their stories as well. And my favorite part about that event was us going up to a mirror and saying our affirmations out loud. And I'm not gonna lie to you, I was terrified at first, but it was very helpful because it not only helped you to be able to speak those affirmations over yourself while looking at yourself, but you also had the sisterhood around you to encourage you and hold you accountable also. So I was transformed by that event. So I want to thank you for that.
Yes, but I love that. I'm so glad that you were able to make it. Hope you could make it to the other ones. I'm glad that you were transformed. And yes, the mirror activity, that's one of the most nerve-wracking, but then it's also how can I say it? It's also really eye-opening to see how many others are struggling, but
Mhm.
then also to see the support that you have behind you. And that's one of the reasons why I really love the affirmation circle activity, the mirror activity that we do, because not only does it make you accountable and make you say the things that you're feeling, but now you could be held accountable by your sisters. And on the other side of that, be loved by them, be embraced by them, and to know that you're not alone in this, that we're all here for one another.
Yes, absolutely. And speaking of the sisterhood community, that was one of the elements that I really found interesting about I Affirm Me. Just the idea of having sisters with you as you go through your own healing journey. So, what is the significance of creating a sisterhood community? Like, why was that an element that you wanted to portray in I Affirm Me?
So that was really all God because me before Christ, I would say, and even like in my beginning walk, I struggled with trust issues. I don't feel that I had many friends, many girlfriends. So that was really all God calling me to step out of my comfort zone. And the fact that it's other girls, other women that He showed me are struggling with this, I knew that we had to be connected some way, somehow. And through this journey, like there are so many girls and women that I have met that have found our page that I never would have thought I would have met that don't even live in the state that I live in. So just to see how God is bringing all of us together and connecting us, I think it's a really beautiful thing because it shows me that this is not a me thing. It's just a reminder all the time that this is not a me thing, it's a God thing. And the only way that we can really heal and overcome is if we do it together. God is really big on community in his word. Like he's really big on in community. And I know, like speaking from me personally, I was the type of girl that would always handle things on her own. I was good staying to myself. I was good isolating myself, but isolation only gives room for the enemy to creep in. So in order for that to not happen, we have to have community and we have to have sisterhood.
Absolutely. And that community is such an important component because when you're learning how to overcome, especially insecurities, it is important that you do have people around you who can support you and hold you accountable. And even going back to the affirmation writing workshop, like even though I didn't know most of the women there, I felt that bond with them like by the end because it's like even though we were going through the same event together, it's like we've known each other for a while, even though we just met. So it's
Right.
amazing that you foster that community.
Oh, I love that. And I'm glad you felt loved and welcome. That's really my heart's desire is for every girl that whether it's a online workshop, in-person workshop, that they know that they're not in this by themselves and that it's okay to be vulnerable. This is a safe space. And that's something that I had to learn too, like being vulnerable, being open. That wasn't me, but now I can show these girls, show these women that no, it's okay. You can be, and this is a safe space. You're not going to be judged. You're not going to be pushed to the wayside. You're not going to be all looked at weird. We're all here for one purpose and one purpose only. And you are a sister. Like the minute we meet you, you are a sister. And that's what I always say. Like, you guys are now my sisters. I don't care if this is the first time we're meeting. We are sisters moving forward.
Yes, I love that. And in terms of like seeing the impact of the work that you do, in what ways have you seen your work impact the lives of others? And if you could, maybe share one or two moments that, or maybe feedback that you received that really left an impact on you.
Yes. So I would have to say more recently. So, in our affirmation writing workshop, it was an amazing event. And by the end of it, three girls gave their life to Jesus and one rededicated their lives. And to me, that was just like amazing. I know it was nothing that I did, it was all that God did. But just to see that he used this workshop, that this was the vessel for them to come back to him or give their lives to him, that really impacted me because that showed me that, okay, this is actually a thing. This is impactful. It's making a difference. And sometimes we may not feel like that, whether we have a business, whether we have something that we're over that God put us over. We may not always see the impact. We may not always hear the testimonies. So being able to see that was just a wow moment. And I was really just in awe of God. And then another thing that I would say recently too is in January, we did a 21-day fast with our sisters. This was the first year that we opened it up to our sisterhood community. Usually we do it on our own with our church, but this is the first time that we opened it up to our sisterhood community. And I was really fighting. I wanted to not do it because I was afraid of failing them, failing God, all these things. But during the 21 days, just all the testimonies that were coming through was just a reminder like, this is why you have to be obedient. Like, this is why you have to do I affirm me. And that brings me back to what I said earlier that this is not about me. As much as sometimes I think it's about me, it's really not about me. It's for those girls and women that God has in mind to reach us, to meet us, to join whatever event that we have.
Yes, absolutely. And I also love that you get to see that impact like in person, at the different events because like you said, it's hard to sometimes stay motivated when you don't like hear the testimonials and you really feel like oh, am I making an impact? Like, is everything like changing? But the fact that you're able to see the impact that you're making, and I also want to encourage you to definitely keep going because I know it's not only impacted me in a very positive way, but you are continuing to impact the lives of other women. And yeah, it's amazing to see what you're doing.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate that so much.
Of course. I also wanted to ask about, the challenges of managing I Affirm Me? Like, what keeps you motivated in those times where, it feels like, oh, am I making an impact? Like, what's going on? Just like, how do you stay motivated during those times?
So I stay motivated during those times really by going to God in prayer and reading his word and just talking to him because there are a lot of times where I can find myself falling into comparison. If I feel like, okay, maybe I'm growing too slow and these other people that I'm looking at have just blown up. Like maybe there's something wrong that I did. What am I doing wrong? Then I stress myself out. I get overwhelmed. I get flustered, frustrated, all the things. But then in those moments, I really just have to go back to God and allow him to have his way and take control. In the midst of that, I'm continuing to do what I do and show up. I think my biggest struggle that I'm learning now has been being consistently showing up. It would always be that I would show up for probably a month consistently, and then I feel that I'm getting tired or worn out or drained. But I'm really trying to be intentional in seeking God to help me be intentional, disciplined, and consistent because, again, even though I may be feeling what I'm feeling, I have to show up because there are girls and women depending on what I have to offer, on what God has placed on the inside of me.
Absolutely. And I definitely empathize with you on the consistency element because I love a good hiatus, to be honest. Like, but I could get, so wrapped up in that. But I love what you said about using your mission as a motivating factor. Like, because like you said, you have women that are depending on the message that you bring. And it doesn't matter about the growth overnight or, however you're growing. What matters is having an impact on that one person, that one woman that would attend an event or a session and feel that transformation. So, yeah, I appreciate that.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. So, what is your vision for the future of I Affirm Me, and what lasting impact do you intend to have?
Ooh, I love that question. That is a jam-packed question. My vision moving forward is really just to expand our territory. Like, I'm talking, the way I see it is big. Like, God just opening the doors, and we are just in multiple places, schools, conferences, speaking, all the things, because I know what God has placed on the inside of me and what He's called this ministry to. So, really just enlarging my territory. And the lasting impact that I intend to have is one, that people will see Jesus through what we do, the truth of Him, and they'll know like healing only comes from Him, and you can't do anything without Him. And then another lasting impact is I want to see girls and women free for forever. Like I want them to be changed forever. I want them to know that they do not have to be stuck forever. I was in a place in my life before starting this ministry where I felt that I was never going to overcome my insecurity.
Mm.
This was not a day that I ever foresaw in my future. So if I can do it, if it can happen for me, then I want other girls and women to know that it can happen for them as well. That with God, all things are possible, that they can be changed forever and whatever they went through in the past, that doesn't have to be a part of their future anymore.
Amen. Woo, that was good. That was very good. So, Brianna, I want to thank you so, so much for joining me on this episode and talking all about I Affirm Me. But before we go, I have one final question. What advice or words of encouragement do you have for those who are struggling to manage their insecurities?
So, one piece of advice that I would give my sisters or anyone that is struggling to manage their insecurity is take it one day at a time. You don't have to heal at once. And one thing that I always like to say that is very true is that everyone's healing time frame is different. You may see someone heal in a week, but for you, it may take 3 months. It may even take 5 years. But I would encourage everyone and challenge everyone to embrace that time of healing because this time of healing is going to mold you and shape you into the person that you are supposed to become. And as you go through the healing process, it's going to bring you to a place where you never have to revisit that thing again because you're going to have done the work that was required to get to that healing. So definitely take it one day at a time and embrace the healing process. It might be hard, but in the end, it'll all be worth it.
Absolutely. Well, thank you again, Brianna, for joining me. And where can people find I Affirm Me?
So you can find us on Instagram at I Affirm Me LLC. We also have our website, www.iaffirmmellc.com, where you can see our workshops, programs, different things that we have to offer.
Absolutely. And I will definitely link all of those in the description. Thanks again, Brianna, and everyone. I hope you stay tuned for more empowering episodes on Rough Edges. Thank you for listening to another episode of the Rough Edges podcast with Sarah I. Fox. If you want more updates on the podcast, you can follow on Instagram at rough.edges.podcast, or you can visit the official podcast website at roughedgespodcast.com. Thanks again for listening and have a wonderful day.